They say Point Pleasant used to be a quiet town. Nestled between the forests and the Ohio River, life there moved slowly, predictable, peaceful. But in the winter of 1966, something shifted. It started with a scream in the woods. Not human, not animal, something in between. Sharp, metallic, like the air itself had been torn open. On November 12th, 5 gravediggers were working late at a cemetery just outside of town. As the sun dipped beneath the trees and the cold crept in, one of them looked up and froze. There it was, a massive figure, dark as coal, with wings spread wide like a bat, but bigger, impossibly bigger, and 2 glowing red eyes, burning like coals in the fading light. It hovered above the treetops for a moment, watching, then vanished into the sky without a sound. The men fled, breathless and white-faced. They said it wasn't a bird, it wasn't a plane. It was something else, something not from here. At first, no one believed them. Who would? It sounded like madness. But then, the reports started coming. 2 nights later, Roger and Linda Scarberry were driving near the abandoned TNT factory just outside Point Pleasant. It was past midnight. The road was empty, the sky pitch black. That's when their headlights caught it. It stood on the side of the road, nearly 7 feet tall, humanoid, with large folded wings and those same glowing red eyes. When they slowed down, the thing spread its wings and took off, not into the trees, but chasing their car. They said it flew over 100 miles an hour, gliding above them, keeping pace without a single flap of its wings. They didn't stop driving until they reached town. When they reported it to the police, they were shaking, pale, barely able to get the words out. But they weren't alone. Over the next few days, dozens more came forward. Hunters, housewives, children, all said they saw the same creature, black, winged, with eyes that pierced through the dark like fire. And then, the phones started ringing. Not from people, not even from numbers, just ringing, static, clicking, voices whispering things no one could understand. Some called it mass hysteria. Others said it was a demon. But the sightings didn't stop. If anything, they got stranger. People claimed that when they looked into the creature's eyes, they lost time. Hours would pass in minutes. Some collapsed with seizures. Others had dreams, vivid, violent dreams of bridges collapsing, of people drowning, of screaming, of fire. No one knew what it wanted, but one thing was clear. The Mothman, whatever it was, had arrived, and something terrible was coming with it. The days grew colder in Point Pleasant. By early December, the town was blanketed in frost, but people no longer spoke of the weather. They spoke of him, of it, of the red-eyed shadow that haunted the skies and the minds of those who had seen it. More and more, people stopped going out at night. Dogs vanished from porches. Birds stopped singing. Streetlights flickered without wind. And over it all loomed the abandoned TNT plant. Locals whispered that it wasn't just a factory. It was a burial ground for something unnatural. They said the government had done secret experiments there during World War II, that chemicals had seeped into the soil, into the water, that something had woken up beneath the silos and storage domes. John Keel, a journalist from New York, arrived in town around this time. He had heard rumors, strange calls, sightings of men in black, and that name again and again, the Mothman. Keel was skeptical at first. He thought it was just small-town panic. But the deeper he dug, the stranger the threads became. People began to report more than just sightings of the creature. They described premonitions, dreams, voices. One woman told him, trembling, that she had seen the creature standing in her backyard, staring through her bedroom window. She couldn't move, couldn't scream, and in her head, a voice whispered, "There will be blood in the water." That same night, her brother, a fisherman, drowned in the Ohio River. His boat never found. His body washed up 2 days later, face pale, mouth open in a silent scream. Keel started recording everything, every phone call, every interview, every note. And then he started receiving phone calls of his own. No voice, just clicks, and occasionally something worse. A low, distorted whisper saying things like, "Stop looking. It sees you. You were warned." The fear in Point Pleasant wasn't just about the creature anymore. It was about the feeling that something was watching. Something ancient. Something cold. Children woke up screaming in the night, claiming they saw a man with wings perched on their rooftops. A local deputy found tire tracks leading straight into the woods, but no car, no driver, just a pair of deep impressions in the frozen earth, like something heavy had landed. And then came the letters. Keel received an anonymous note scrawled in shaky handwriting. "The bridge will break. The river will take them. He cannot stop it." He didn't know what it meant, not yet. But the clock had started ticking. And the Mothman, silent, red-eyed, ever watching, was still there, waiting, watching the river. By mid-December, Point Pleasant was no longer just afraid. It was suffocating in dread. People locked their doors during daylight. Churches held nightly prayers, not for salvation, but for protection. And still, sightings of the Mothman increased. Not just at the TNT plant, but downtown, near schools, hovering above the Silver Bridge. That bridge, the lifeline of the town, stretching over the icy Ohio River, connecting Point Pleasant to the outside world. It was always there, always humming with traffic, but now people began to avoid it. They said it groaned at night when no cars passed over, that it moved, not with the wind, but with something beneath it. On December 14th, John Keel received another call. This time, there was no clicking, just a voice, robotic, monotone, almost human. December 15, silver, falling. You have been warned. Then it hung up. He tried tracing it, but the number didn't exist. The same night, Mary Heyer, a local newspaper columnist working with Keel, had a nightmare. She saw the bridge collapse, metal screaming as cars plunged into dark water. She woke up gasping for air, coughing up river water that wasn't there. The next morning, she called Keel. Her voice was shaking. "It's going to happen," she whispered. tomorrow. Keel didn't want to believe it, but deep inside, he knew this wasn't just folklore, not mass hysteria, not coincidence. It was a warning. He went to the authorities, tried to explain, but no one would listen, not without proof, and the proof was coming. December 15th dawned gray and bitterly cold. Snow fell in slow, silent drifts. The river looked frozen, but it moved, sluggish, heavy, like it was holding its breath. By 5 p.m., traffic on the Silver Bridge thickened with commuters heading home. It was just another busy evening in Point Pleasant, until it wasn't. At 5:04, something snapped. A single suspension chain gave way, a sharp crack that echoed like a gunshot. Then another, and another. The entire center span of the Silver Bridge buckled. The steel screamed. Screws sheared off like bullets. And then, in one horrific moment, the entire bridge collapsed into the icy Ohio River. Cars plunged into the dark water. People screamed. And then, silence. 46 souls were lost that evening. Fathers, mothers, children. They were crushed by metal or drowned in the freezing black. Keel stood on the shore, helpless, as sirens howled and red lights painted the snow. Mary Hire arrived minutes later. Her hands trembled. "It was real," she said. "It was all real." And as they looked across the water, someone pointed up. There, barely visible in the twilight sky, was a shape. Wings wide, eyes glowing red, watching. Then, without a sound, it vanished into the clouds. The Mothman was gone. The days after the collapse were drenched in sorrow. Funerals blurred together, one after another. The town was wrapped in black veils, black coats, black silence. Survivors walked like ghosts among the living, haunted not just by the tragedy, but by what they saw. And always the same whisper in every hushed conversation. It was the Mothman. The government blamed the collapse on a faulty suspension chain, stress corrosion, poor maintenance. But those who lived in Point Pleasant, they didn't buy it. Not after what they'd witnessed. Not after the calls, the sightings, the dreams. Mary Hire tried to write about it. Her columns became darker, more frantic, warning that something larger was at play, that what had come wasn't done with them yet. She told Keel that people had started seeing strange lights in the sky again, farther out this time, in the hills. And men in black suits were knocking on doors, asking questions, always smiling, always watching. Then, 2 weeks after the bridge fell, Mary died suddenly. A stroke, they said, but no one truly believed it. John Keel returned to New York, broken, paranoid, sleepless. He spent years piecing together what had happened, trying to make sense of the creature, the messages, the tragedy. He would publish his account later, but even then, he admitted, "I still don't know what it was. A monster? A warning? A god? A trick? All I know is something came to Point Pleasant, and we never truly recovered." What chilled him most wasn't just the bridge or the deaths. It was that the Mothman had vanished immediately afterward. No more sightings, no more red eyes, no more calls. It was as if it had served its purpose and left. But over the years, the pattern began to emerge. In Ukraine, just before the Chernobyl disaster, miners reported a giant winged figure with glowing eyes flying over the plant. In Japan, before the Fukushima tsunami, workers claimed to see a dark humanoid figure in the fog near the coast. Always the same description, always before catastrophe. So now, among those who study the unexplained, one question lingers. What is the Mothman? Is it a harbinger sent to warn of doom? Or is it the cause, a creature that feeds off human suffering? Some say it's an angel fallen from grace. Others say it's a rip in reality. But the people of Point Pleasant, they just say this: we didn't believe it until it was too late. Years passed. Point Pleasant rebuilt itself. New roads, new bridges, new memories. But beneath the surface, something remained broken. The town had scars that concrete couldn't cover. And every December 15th, candles lit up the riverside in silence. John Keel never returned. He kept writing about high strangeness, men in black, UFOs, psychic phenomena. But Mothman, that stayed with him. In the final years of his life, he rarely spoke of Point Pleasant. When he did, it was in riddles. He once wrote in his journal, "I don't think we were being warned. I think we were being studied." Some dismissed it as paranoia. Others believed every word. But in 2002, long after the dust had settled, something strange happened. During the construction of a new memorial park near the old TNT site, workers uncovered an old steel hatch buried deep in the earth. It led nowhere, just rusted stairs that stopped mid-descent, as if something had once been sealed or escaped. A week later, one of the workers, a man named Carlos DeWitt, went missing. His wife reported he had become obsessed with a recurring dream. A tall figure with wings, standing at the edge of the Ohio River, waiting. Carlos's boots were found by the water. No body, no trace. Just wet footprints that didn't match any known human stride. Then, quietly, sightings resumed. Not many, not like before, but enough. A pair of glowing red eyes seen near the old munitions plant. A strange humming noise heard on windless nights. A woman driving along Route 2 swerved when she saw what looked like a massive shadow swooping overhead. Her dashboard camera glitched, and the footage was blank. One night, a local journalist received an envelope. No return address. Inside, a single Polaroid. Grainy, faint, but unmistakable. A dark silhouette, humanoid but not, standing just beyond the fog, with eyes that burned like embers. On the back, written in red ink, "It never left." To this day, some say Mothman was never a creature at all, but a reflection of our fears, a spiritual echo summoned by collective dread. Others insist it's real, watching, waiting, appearing only when death is near. And every so often, when tragedy looms just beyond the horizon, someone, somewhere, sees two crimson eyes in the darkness, a beating of great wings,